miscommunications. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? And so one of the things that the overlying theme for what I'm going to be talking about today is some of my experiences and some things that you need to consider. A basic gesture is this one, right? What does this mean?
Good job.
Good luck.
Good luck, right? Everybody agrees? This means good luck.
Good job.
Good job.
Good job.
Except if you go to Greece. And so simple things like a thumbs up have a very different meaning in Greece, and which the thumbs up actually means the middle finger. It's one of those things that are very interesting. And so if you're pointing at somebody and giving them the thumbs up in Greece, they're not happy with you. Another one is this. Means?
Okay.
Be careful in Europe. Especially if you're making eye contact with somebody and giving them one of these, that's actually a proposition. And across the room. So Todd would be very angry with me. Or Todd's girlfriend would be if I'm looking at him doing this. And so things like that seem very basic, seem very standard in our culture, but it's one of the things that when you travel, you really have to start recognizing. In Europe, Spanish people, Italian people, moving their hands and talking very emphatically. Can you imagine me? As I transition to South Korea, I am not a standard size. All right? Talking very emphatically to shorter people in a different culture scares them. All right? I learned this as when I got to Korea, one of the first things that I learned when I introduced myself is big, strong posture, strong handshake. They're not accustomed to that. The Korean handshake is very, very different. Western style, we're accustomed to very strong eye contact. Yes? We're very, very strong eye contact, and then strong grip. Koreans are almost the opposite. In Korea, a handshake is very light. They basically grab my fingers. It's not web-to-web strong handshake. Then there's another part to it. And if you catch me doing this, you still need to let me know, because I spent so many years in Korea. When I go to give a handshake, it's still not as strong as many of the people here, but it's small handshake, and this left hand comes across. Okay? And as it comes across, it's either right at the waist or up at the hand, but there's a bow with it as well, because the traditional greeting in Korea is a bow. And so it took me months to get this right. I was the only Western person in the school that I was teaching at. Nobody taught me. I had to learn and I had to experience, and then I had to ask questions about that. Right? Because big that I am, small businessmen, powerful businessmen, I was scaring them. I try not to do that. One that was strange to me at first, it's not really a gesture, but it's an action that I had to get used to. When going through the threshold of a door, you don't step in the middle of it. That's considered rude. You step over the threshold, because often it's a raised piece, and they don't like the wear that comes down on it. All right? And so this to me was a little bit strange, and I had to get used to that. But this one I actually learned a little bit quicker, because in the school that I was in, the doorway only came to my shoulder. And so, if I squared my shoulders, I would sit and I would fill the doorway, literally. And so I had to duck and take a big step to get through. So that wasn't always an issue. In my first year, the biggest gesture, the biggest action that I learned to avoid was from children. Children have a tendency to scare native teachers. I am big, children are small. They scared me because you always had to be on your guard with children. Because children played a game called Dongqiang. Very simple game. They put two hands together and they make a point. And it's what they do with this point in the game Dongqiang that scares teachers. Because when you're not suspecting, and this is a game that children play with their peers. They don't do this with Korean teachers, but they do this with Western teachers. They take these two fingers, when you're not suspecting, and hit you right in the butthole. The first time a child ever did that to me, I was talking to another child, and I slammed that child into the wall with the other child. Be afraid. Okay? And so, cultural misadventures. You have to be aware that different cultures have different gestures, have different things that they find sensitive. And so, when you're traveling, when you're living abroad, as the case may be, it takes time, but you learn. Enjoyment of travel comes from understanding these things, and experience lets you live beyond them, and then tell other Toastmasters interesting stories.